You're listening to Children of the Watch. I'm Mac Lacey.
And I'm Alex Maxwell, and today we are continuing with the Mandalorian Rewatch with the Book of Boba Fett. We're wrapping it up with Chapter 6 and Chapter 7. We're also doing our before the trailer predictions for the Mandalorian and Grogu in this episode as well. We were battling a little bit of sickness this past week, so we're actually combining two episodes that we had where we're covering the final two episodes of the Book of Boba Fett for our Mandalorian Rewatch. But then we're also doing our before the trailer predictions for the Mandalorian and Grogu, because we're expecting a Mandalorian and Grogu trailer this upcoming week. All reports kind of indicate that that's happening because there's an expected TV spot at the Super Bowl, and I'm imagining that TV spot will be based on the trailer that has already come out the week of. They
dropped the minute-and-a-half version, and then, for the Super Bowl, they only spend the money for the 30-second ad placement,
Right.
I think that makes total sense. But, yeah, this is going to be kind of a Swiss Army knife of an episode. We're going to do a little news, a little Mandalorian rewatch with the Book of Boba Fett, and a little bit of speculation and taking some wild swings.
We're going to be all over the place. Like you said, Swiss Army knife is a nice way to say it, but we're going to be kind of all over the place in this episode again because if you're just now joining us, battling sickness. We're combining two episodes. Let's do this.
It's a snow day today.
It's hot outside.
Like for both of us, snow is coming down, which is unusual. If you're in, parts of the country that or the world that aren't super used to cold weather, and you're dealing with that right now, take a look around you. Make sure there's nobody around you that needs, a warm place to be or anything like that. So important to stick together with harsh weather and all that. But
it feels like -2 outside, and that's not normal for where we live.
No, it is. It's Hoth. It's bad.
It's bad.
Like the Tauntauns would freeze before they reached the first marker, kind of deal.
Then I'll see you in hell.
Yeah.
Okay, so there is a little bit of news before we jump into Chapter 6 of the Book of Boba Fett, which we're going to spend more time probably on Chapter 6 than Chapter 7 of the Book of Boba Fett, simply because there's more material to talk about.
Yeah,
Chapter 7's
super
just
action heavy, super just
blaster fire,
lots of blasters. So
lots of blasters. So let's jump into a little bit of the news first. And some of the news this past week was that the Dave Filoni movie that was about basically like an adaptation of Heir to the Empire, huge crossover and this, for some reason, on the internet, this shocked people that it was a huge crossover of The Mandalorian, The Book of Boba Fett, Skeleton Crew, Ahsoka. Like, people were shocked that was happening. I was like, we've known this since 2020.
Yeah. It's like we've
this was
been talking
happening.
about this the whole time. So
I was a little surprised by that, but then people were also like shocked that they're considering making it a limited series, like The Defenders. So like in the Netflix, Daredevil, Jessica Jones, Luke Cage, Iron Fist, they all had their own shows, and then they came together in a miniseries called The Defenders, and it was actually really good. I thought they did a good job with that.
Yeah.
And they're talking about if The Mandalorian and Grogu doesn't do quite maybe the numbers that they're wanting it to do, then transitioning that story to TV. Now, originally, it was pitched as a TV show anyway, because like all of these were TV shows, and that culmination event would have been like a Defenders miniseries, and then they switched it to a movie. I kind of would prefer it as a TV show.
I'm of that mind as well. I mean, like I think regardless of how The Mandalorian and Grogu does, I think I would rather have it as a series. It could even be a more limited series than we're used to. It could be four episodes.
Yeah,
that's fine. But I think the storytelling potential with that culmination event, there's so much that we have to do. So many characters that need some threads wrapped up, and so many interactions to have. It just makes total sense to make it long form. I also, it's kind of going to be the finale of the Mandoverse. I don't expect us to be doing things that play off of our existing shows and that big crossover after it happens. I don't think there's going to be like a phase 2 of the Mandoverse,
This is it.
I think we'll do Star Wars TV in the future and all that kind of stuff, but it's just going to be, maybe different time periods, different characters, all that kind of stuff. So with it being that kind of final big thing, I expect they're gonna want to give us some really big swings when they're bringing all these stories home, and give us the runtime for that.
Yeah, this is, we talked about this a little bit on our last episode with the Lucas, when we talked about the transition at Lucasfilm of like, could Ahsoka season 2 be it for the Mandoverse? I think this is great news because that means either way, we're getting an ending. Like we're getting the right ending for the Mandoverse, which, we deserve an ending to this because they started this all the way back in 2019. I'm excited for an end to it, not because like I want it to end, but because endings are necessary for a story. You can't just keep it going. So like I'm excited
this
to see.
This isn't Days of Our Lives or whatever.
Right.
Right. We can't just have 500 episodes.
Right. We got to wrap it up. And so I'm excited for that, and then to see what's next for the future of Star Wars television, because I know regardless of what people say, Star Wars movies are back, and that should be the main priority for Star Wars, is to be in the movie theaters, because at the end of the day, Star Wars is a movie franchise. Yeah. But that does not mean that Star Wars television is dead. We've got Maul Shadow Lord coming up April 6th, 2 episodes a week. We're going to be covering that. We broke down the trailer last Saturday. Go check that out. We had a lot of fun speculating on that as well, and just talking about what could happen on that show. We're going to be covering that. Ahsoka season 2 is coming out, I would assume probably around August to October, kind of like it did in season 1. And then we don't know what's beyond that. However, there is some rumblings that there might be a Rogue Squadron TV show being developed right now, and that's something we're going to totally be on board with. They're going to keep doing TV shows. It's just not going to be the amount that we've gotten in the past, where we had like 3 different shows in 1 year. That's never happening again. And frankly, I don't think that it should. I think 1 animated show, 1 live action show, and then, a movie every 2 years or so is a great spot, very healthy place for Star Wars to be. And so I'm excited by this news, whether it becomes a movie, which would be great, or if it's a limited series TV show, which I would prefer. Either way, we are heading towards an endpoint for the Mandoverse, and that is exciting to me, of like, what could it be? Yeah. The Mandalorian Grogu is going to set it up. Ahsoka season 2 will set it up. We're heading there, and I'm very excited about that.
Yeah, for sure. I think it's probably going to end up as a series regardless. I think that's just all the signs point to that.
Well, I mean, but then like we get to have fun podcasting about it for weeks. You know what I mean?
I want to do that too.
Yeah.
I don't want it to have to just be like a one and done.
Exactly.
Like, we're already kind of, we're figuring out how we're going to do the Mandalorian and Grogu. There's going to be tons of talk about and all that kind of stuff. But without the episodes every week, I like that water cooler aspect of it. I like the weekly check-ins, the weekly speculation, all that. So,
and I can't help but think of like Jod interacting with Grogu, like that. I mean, stuff like that is going to be incredible. Like, I am so excited for that crossover event and to see how characters could interact. And we're going to be talking about that with chapter 6 and 7, because there's a lot of characters that do interact, and Cobb Vanth is one of the characters that we probably should talk about, and his potential even being in the Mandalorian and Grogu, I think, is something that we need to speculate on in this episode. But let's move on to some quick news about Starfighter, because the writer of Starfighter has been talking a little bit this week, and I wanted to touch on some of what he was been saying. But basically, he had mentioned, hey, if you are expecting any sort of legacy characters in Starfighter, you need to go ahead and change your expectations because that's not happening. What we're doing in Starfighter is a whole new thing, new characters. Do not expect anyone that you have seen in the movies, is what he said. Now, does that mean someone from the TV shows could? I think he means like totally new. I don't think TV shows is on his mind. I think what he's saying is, this is new Star Wars, and it's and the way he described it is like when you watched A New Hope for the first time, that's the feeling we're trying to capture with Starfighter, which is fun.
Hopefully not in the way that The Force Awakens was trying to capture that feeling. I'm so glad we have The Force Awakens, but like
it's another version of it.
It did A New Hope pretty well. I want to see, but I think they're talking much more in spiritual terms than in plot and that kind of thing.
Right.
But this is fantastic news to me. I love, expanding the world, giving us new characters, new places to care about. As much as we do get continued stories of our legacy characters in the sequel trilogy, my favorite thing about the sequel trilogy is the new big three that they gave us, and those characters and the relationships they formed and all of that kind of stuff. So I can't wait to get another set of characters to fall in love with that are unburdened by any existing bonds or relationships or anything like that. I think that's the best move at this juncture too, especially just where we're at Star Wars. I think we're ready for something bold and new and to kind of start over with a clean slate a little bit.
Yeah, and I think that sets up the future of the movies in a really cool way of like, hey, we are doing something brand new. Our friends at Star Wars Sessions, they're a UK-based Star Wars podcast. Because they've been like Starfighter films in the UK, they have heard a little bit more rumblings about some things with Starfighter. And they're like, expect some really cool new designs for starships, which I'm like, I think a lot of people, when you hear Starfighter, they're probably thinking this is going to be an X-Wing. No, this is going to be a new ship.
Yeah.
So that's fun.
Yeah. Well, again, we already have the X-Wing. Give us that new, not flagship in terms of a fleet, but like the flagship ship for the franchise,
Yeah, the Starfighter.
The Starfighter, whatever it ends up being, but yeah, that's exciting. I can't wait to see what they do with the visual language too, because this is going to be, again, new time period. It opens up that visual palette again.
Yes.
I think one criticism I have of the sequel trilogy is that it looks very much like the original trilogy. I love the difference between you can see the continuity of design happen in universe between the prequels and then through the Empire's Rise, giving birth to the architectural styles and everything,
especially with
in
each
the original
movie.
trilogy. Yeah, and so I hope that maybe we build a little bit and do a little bit more than the sequel trilogy did in that regard. I can't wait to just see
something
what kind of eye candy they've got in store for us.
Yeah, that's probably one of the most exciting things about the movie is to like, I can't even visualize it yet because it's going to be brand new, and that's exciting in itself. And, I think about the Naboo Starfighter and how different that was from an X-Wing and how elegant it looked and stuff, and how kind of a bold direction the entire Phantom Menace was for like Star Wars, right? Like people were not expecting that. They were expecting something like the sequel trilogy for the prequels.
Yeah, but now... The Phantom Menace is one of my favorite of the films visually, because there is such this amazing mix of like the rounder, newer looking technology and design built with like, some of the real world architectural locations and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, I hope that, they've got some good surprises in store for us.
I hope so too. We're live on YouTube right now if you're listening later on the podcast, and we've got a question that I do want to address since we're talking about it right now. Do we know if Starfighter has been planned to be a trilogy from the beginning? It is not. It's meant to be a standalone, but I would imagine that if it does really well, it probably will become its own little trilogy, to be honest with you. Like I could totally see that.
There's been rumblings of it of them having kind of an idea of what they would do with sequels for it in mind and stuff like that. So it's definitely on the table. I hope again that they establish such a roster of characters in a world that we want to spend more time in, that we do get more installments of the story.
And I would hope that it would be Sean Levy do like any sequels, like
yes,
so it's
or at
just
least,
consistent for
at least again him being the executive producer for all three. In terms of an actual hands-on creative producer, you can have different people. You can have the Richard Marquand step in to direct the film, kind of be that day-to-day crafts person. But that continuity of vision is I think what's so important.
The most important.
And hopefully he would have a continued presence through the whole thing.
Absolutely. So, okay, that does it for kind of the news. Now let's transition into the portion where we're covering the final 2 chapters of the Book of Boba Fett. We're going to use this time to also speculate a little bit about like the Mandalorian Grogu in terms of characters like Cobb Vanth and stuff. And then when we wrap up the discussion for chapters 6 and 7, we're going to spend the rest of the podcast predicting before the trailer comes out what the Mandalorian and Grogu could be. Now, we've spent a lot of time already doing that, but we're going to like, hey, here's our official predictions before we get any real idea of what the story is. And then it will be fun to go back and be like, man, we were so wrong.
We were so wrong. Sometimes, we've done this. We do this kind of before everything comes out. It's been a tradition for a few years now. And sometimes we get it pretty close. And sometimes
Ahsoka season 2 was probably, or Ahsoka season 1 was probably the most spot on we've ever been.
Yeah.
Besides Marok. But everything else was like, man, we're getting this one. All right, so let's jump into episode 6, chapter 6. From the desert comes a stranger.
Those are not spelled the same. But,
I know. The director is Dave Filoni, and the writer is Dave Filoni and Jon Favreau. And we begin this episode on Tatooine with the Marshal of Mos Pelgo confronting the Pikes. And I love when he confronts them. As soon as they turn around, he's like, think it through. Think it through.
Yeah.
I love Cobb Vanth. He was only in one episode before this, and he feels like such a mainstay to the Mandoverse.
Yeah, I get you there. Like he just feels like he's always been in this world, like a character should. It feels like he's actually lived the character's whole life up until this point in the Star Wars universe. I know that's a weird distinction, but I love him. This is also a very Dune scene to me. I think just because it's the desert and they're talking about the spice and all of that kind of stuff. I was just reminded of Dune a lot.
Of course, George Lucas drew the idea of spice from Dune and Tatooine as well, but
and sand crawlers and the Force and a lot of things.
A lot. It was a lot. But this spice in Star Wars is more like illegal drugs, whereas spice in Dune is more like almost mythic, gives you prophecy. It's more like, I don't know, ayahuasca or something, and this is more like cocaine.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like
it's a much more just like street level feeling kind of drug. I don't know. I mean, we've not really. Star Wars hasn't super explored the fine details of spice use and that kind of thing, but
and I don't know if they should. You know?
I think we're good. I think we're good.
I get
we have
idea.
enough. We get the concept. We've got what we need.
In Star Wars Legacy, the comic that takes place 130 years after all of Star Wars, not canon anymore, but we did talk about Darth Talon on our Maul episode, and that's where she's from. But Cade Skywalker is a descendant of Luke Skywalker, and notably, he is a spice addict.
Yeah.
So, not doing well.
It's Legends.
So he confronts the Pikes. He kills all of them. I don't really know why he decides to keep one unless I guess he's thinking like they're gonna find the bodies anyway, and this is more of a hey, this area is off limits type thing. Go back and tell them.
Yeah. I think he's acting more as like an actual municipal official should act. He's acting on behalf of a public instead of like a criminal. Like, I think if he was a gang lord or something, he'd kill them all, take the spice, be done with it.
Sell it.
Yeah, and not he's worried about the message he's sending. He wants that guy to go back and report that like, hey, there's an actual kind of justice that exists in right. Freetown. Yeah, pardon
Freetown.
I've got tons of sirens going behind my.
They're surrounding your house right now because of your Star Wars takes.
Yeah, there's such hot takes. I'm worried somebody's like had a wreck or something.
I hope not.
The roads, but hopefully not.
Oh yeah, it's snowing. Yeah, so he confronts him, lets him go, kicks it over. We get the opening credits, and then Den goes to Ossus. This is a planet from Legends, and they brought it into canon, and this is this spot where Luke Skywalker is building his Jedi Academy.
Yeah.
And this is where Den sees literally that they're building the Jedi Academy that we will later see destroyed in the sequel trilogy by Kylo Ren. And I love the ant droids that are building this, and I love that visually they like match R2-D2. It's almost like he is like the hive queen in a certain way of like directing them and stuff.
I bet he is. I'm sure that's how that works. They definitely seem more like drone things. I don't think they probably have their own artificial intelligence or like anything.
It's like extensions of R2.
Yeah. But I really like them. I don't know if this says more about me where I was at when I watched it or what, but I saw the ant droids and I was like, it'd be kind of nice to be an ant droid. Just walk in my little line and carry my little rock. Like, not all the time.
Sure.
But occasionally when life gets overwhelming, sometimes I just want to be an ant droid.
Absolutely. I'm pitching this right now. Lucasfilm, if you're listening, this is for the crossover event. Have R2 and these ant droids attack Thrawn's ship. That, you know what I mean? Like, R2 is directing the ant droids to attack and infiltrate. You could even have like Anzellans riding them like stallions or something.
Yeah.
Right?
I like that.
That's pretty good. I like that too. So he meets with R2-D2 is the one that greets him, and he gets some androids to make a bench and like basically like just, chill out on the bench, and not only just chill out, go to sleep because this is going to be a while.
And no answers as to how long. It's so Jedi. I love it. And not like the Jedi Order. It's so that sense of whatever Yoda was when we first meet him in Empire,
Right.
That mystical. This is how you kind of expect wizards to behave, right? It's almost there's the eccentricities of like, we don't know where they are. You're just gonna have to sit there until they come back.
So this is also kind of like The Empire Strikes Back of like, how long is this training actually taking place? Is what we are about to see with Luke and Grogu happen before it didn't get there? Or is this, is this all in one day? It's really hard to decipher how long this training is actually taking.
I think it is more along the lines of one day, 2 days kind of deal because of later when Din gets back, Fennec Shand says, "Oh, that was really fast." Like when he tells them, "I'm going to come back and bring muscle, but I got to go see
What was
Grogu."
Luke doing with Grogu for so long?
Training, I guess.
But I mean, if they just got there and like, you know what I mean? Like, it seems like there was months since the end of season 2 to now.
Yes. I think that's the case. I mean, Din had to take some time to get very downtrodden and kind of in that more sullen place we meet him in chapter 5. Yeah, that's probably. But as far as like
what we're
the
seeing,
events of this episode,
Yeah, I agree.
It's real quick.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, so he just goes to sleep on the bench, and sorry, dude, you got to wait. And then we see Luke and Grogu doing their training. They're walking through the woods of Ossus. I think Luke looks way better here. He sounds better here than he did in his appearance in The Mandalorian.
Yeah, I mean, they had the experience of having done it before, so and hearing what everybody thought and all that. But yeah, looks way better. Also, this all just, I mean, they're intentionally trying to pull at the heartstrings and all of that, and it works on me in a huge way. Seeing the parallels between Luke training Grogu and what Yoda was doing with Luke on Dagobah, and even Luke carrying Grogu around in the same way that he was carrying Yoda, and just all like of that stuff. I am such a sap for. I had a hard time not getting very emotional.
Yeah, and then if you watch the behind the scenes, Mark Hamill did come in to perform pretty much all of these scenes, and then the stunt actor would mimic that performance. So it's almost kind of like in a way of like, we know what we're doing with the AI face is weird. But it's okay. You know what I mean? Like
let's get as much humanity into it as we possibly can.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
And I appreciate that aspect of it.
For sure. But eventually, after a little bit of training, Luke talks with Grogu and makes him revisit his trauma, and like uses the Force to kind of open up of like, hey, what's kind of locked off in your memory, let's explore that. And then we get a flashback of Order 66. Now we'll pick this back up in season 3 of The Mandalorian, but this is a really important aspect, especially for The Mandalorian and Grogu coming up. Every single season, we have learned a new piece of information about Grogu in every single season of The Mandalorian, and I expect us to learn something more about Grogu in the movie.
Yeah, and I think we'll probably camp out on that aspect when we get to the predictions section.
Yes,
I know that,
let's do that.
Even off mic, we've talked a little bit about one thing in particular that I'm thinking of. But
let's do that.
I do. We get one little lore drop in every Grogu project. Not every episode he's in, but in every big chunk of story he's in. And I don't think the Mandalorian and Grogu could be any different. I think, if anything, we'll probably get more than we're accustomed to. I mean, it's kind of about time to just open the mystery box up,
Yeah, we need to know before, like, this all ends.
Right.
Okay, so, like, Keller and Beck picked him up. Then what?
What happens between that and...
And again, we'll talk about it, but Molly, when she was on with us for Chapter 15, The Believer, she hinted at something that Dave Filoni had told Brendan Wayne and Lateef Crowder that I think we'll get in the movie.
Yeah.
That ties it all together.
I would agree with you.
Okay. So we see like younger Grogu, who's about, 20? At that point, so he'd be about probably like in Grogu years 2, and we see all the live action clone troopers, which is interesting. They're not CGI.
Yeah,
That's
it's like
cool.
the first time that we got them was in the Mandoverse stuff. So.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Crazy.
But then after that, Din wakes up and Ahsoka is randomly on Ossus for some reason. And delivers messages to Din on Luke's behalf. And I will say, as cool it is to see Ahsoka, and Ahsoka and Luke are aware of each other, and we'll talk about that scene in just a second of them discussing Luke's Jedi Academy. The more that it kind of sits with me, the less it makes sense for Ahsoka to be here. Now, I understand you can't have R2 deliver exposition to Din. You needed a character to kind of explain why Din can't go to Grogu and see him.
Yeah.
And it makes sense on one level of Ahsoka to be that person because she's a Jedi. She can kind of explain. Din's familiar with her. However,
she's already kind of done that she's been a bridge character before in in season 2.
I think it would have been better to have C-3PO do it.
Oh.
in my opinion. Just
Yeah.
because, like, he could have been there also helping R2, and he could explain, like, hey, this is not how Jedi operate. This is how Luke wants to run things. You shouldn't go there. And like, have that conversation with C-3PO, and even maybe a little tension because of Din hating droids and stuff, but, like, he understands what he's saying is true. To me, if you need a character to deliver exposition, I would have done C-3PO here, maybe not Ahsoka, because Ahsoka raises way more questions being here. Like, why is she not helping Luke? Why does she just randomly show up and leave? Like, what was she doing there?
If she is involved with Luke's Jedi Academy at this point, I would imagine she'd be, like, out finding new younglings, you know? Like, or something like that, or being, you know, an instructor, or, like, she's just kind of here. Like, I feel like she has better things to do, I think. Again,
does she? I don't know what she does until Ahsoka. Like, from Rebels to Ahsoka, what have you been doing?
I mean, she was tracking down Morgan Elsbeth. But then,
what was she doing after that? What was she doing before that? I don't really know. That's still that's a question that I think still needs answering. Of why was she not involved in the original trilogy?
Yeah,
you know,
that's true.
We need that answer. I still like the idea that maybe she was stuck in the world between worlds, but that's not evident at all. Like, that's just me trying to find an answer.
Right.
So anyways, Ahsoka being here is kind of weird. So she's just kind of here, and explains to Din, like, you can't go see him. It will ruin the training. Jedi, we don't do attachments. We don't do things. And that's also, I guess, another disappointing thing is, like, Luke, you're just doing the prequel thing. Like, you could literally do whatever you want. And Ahsoka should be the person to tell you to do that. She was exiled from the Jedi Order.
She specifically does not consider herself a Jedi because of a lot of her beef with some of that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And Luke never got he wasn't brought up that way in the Jedi, his Jedi training and stuff. The only way that he would have learned about that particular doctrine of the prequel era Jedi is either from a Force ghost or the ancient texts, which I think the ancient texts would probably not even have that in there anyway. I think it seems like a much more recent development in Jedi.
Or Ahsoka told him to do it, which is even worse.
It just doesn't. She's not gonna do that. I don't know. It's weird. I feel like, you know, we could have made a clean break from some of that and gone back to an original trilogy understanding of the Jedi in some respects.
Yeah.
Again, this is not anything against the prequels or those stories. I love all that stuff. But I think we can both agree that, like, the Jedi Order is certainly not perfect and needs like institutional reforms that Luke had a chance to do, but
he didn't.
This doesn't indicate he's going down that way. So
yeah, I just kind of an odd choice there.
Yeah.
And so he asked Ahsoka, like, okay, well, I came to bring him his armor that the armor crafted for him, his Mithril armor, and you know, it's his right by being a foundling to have this. And so she promises to deliver it, and he promises not to interrupt the training. And so he leaves, even though he can see them sitting up on the hill. And then we get a little bit more of Grogu's training, his Jedi training. This is where all the fun parts where, you know, Luke is running with him in the backpack, climbing the trees, explaining the Force to him, then just randomly showing off his lightsaber skills to Grogu. And then, you know, we see, of course, the training with the remote and jumping on the rocks and stuff. And that's kind of when Luke starts to realize he isn't sure Grogu really wants to do this, because, like, he's not even taking credit for, like, what he can do. He's like, I'm just, like, helping him remember what he actually has been trained to do.
Right.
And I can tell, like, he's asleep on a rock right now. I don't think his heart's really in this. And he and Ahsoka have that conversation of like, I will say this is different than the prequel Jedi. And so like to credit both of them here, she encourages him, like, give him a choice. If he doesn't want to do it, don't make him do it.
Yeah. 'Cause I think, they almost learned from Anakin the inverse lesson of like, you can't force, like, it should be more up to individuals. I think there's a lot of criticisms of, how they take children away from their parents at certain ages and the kind of the traumas that can inflict and stuff like that. But I like that, again, it's up to, they care about what Grogu thinks and feels.
Yes.
They're not just thinking about him in terms of like, he's this nuclear weapon that has immense destructive capability that we have to train to protect ourselves. Like, I feel like that's how the Jedi start thinking a lot of the time.
Yeah. If we don't train them, then there'll be a problem for us later.
Right. So I'm glad that it's like, no, we're realizing that forcing anything on anyone maybe is causing a lot more of the issues in the first place.
Right.
So yeah, I to their credit, that's true. I love all of this stuff. I think this is the most important thing from this episode, is just showing that the bond between Din and Grogu means everything. And that, that may be more important than realizing any potential as a Jedi or any of that. And just I it all works for me. I don't know. This is a very it's a slower, a little more quiet episode.
I really enjoyed this episode. I really, really liked Chapter 6.
I think the emotional stakes are maybe the highest they've ever been for the Mandoverse in this episode.
Preferably, again, this is Monday morning quarterbacking. Preferably, Din never goes, or he does go and he leaves it, but Grogu doesn't come back yet.
Yeah.
I would have loved to spend the entire episode with just Grogu.
Yeah.
To be honest with you, Grogu and Luke, and see more of that, and that's it. And then we don't see Grogu reunite with Din until season 3, like midway or towards the finale of the season. But
because also I don't love the manner in which all of
especially
that
the
is,
next episode,
like how the
it's
actual
messy.
reunion goes down.
It's messy.
It's just not.
It's not. No.
It doesn't. It's not like a correlation with everything that happens in this episode.
To be fair to the showrunners, to John and Dave and Robert Rodriguez, I don't think this was their choice.
Yes. Oh, for sure. This is the mouse saying, "I want my little green money machine back." And that I definitely think that's at play and is a huge explanation for a lot of the reason why this season of Star Wars TV is the way it is.
Yeah.
But we're just talking about what is there,
what is there and what we like. So Din returns to Tatooine, and he goes and he speaks with Boba and Fennec on, okay, what are we going to do? Who can we recruit to help us? You've got your Vespa gang. You've got Chrysanthemum. You've got me, but we still need a little more muscle here.
Yeah.
Din knows that Cobb Vanth and the people of Mos Pelgo have helped before, and they could help again. You know who also helped them? Tusken Raiders.
Yeah. And remember everything we did in the first 4 episodes,
Nobody brings them up. I don't get it. I don't understand that. I don't know what that thinking is, that line of think of like, it wasn't just the people of Mos Pelgo that brought down that crate dragon. There was also some Tusken Raiders that helped.
It's like they must not have had the costume and makeup budget for all of the Pikes, the Klatooinians, the Trandoshans, and Tusken Raiders. Like that's
Too
my
many
own
masks.
league. But even then,
but it was during COVID. You could have had masked people.
Like it would help your production actually during that time. Yeah, I don't know. But anyway, Like
It is what it is.
We can mourn what could
Yeah.
have been with everything in with the Tuscans in the show. I think all day, but oh well.
Oh, well. So he goes to Cobb Vanth, and Cobb Vanth reveals that they've rebranded Mos Pelgo, that they got some feedback from some people. They went to 99 Designs, had a competition, and they've rebranded to Freetown. Now they're Freetown. They're not Mos Pelgo anymore. They're Freetown.
I think they learned that enough people read Aftermath that they needed to clarify that. They were like, "Oh, you actually read that, everybody? Oh, we didn't think we thought we could
exactly what
pull
happened.
a fast one."
That's exactly what happened. Oh, man. And so Den tries to convince Cobb Vanth and the people to come help him. Cobb's like, I don't think so. I think we're down here. And so Den leaves and kind of like leaves him with, I wish you would come help me. And, his understanding, Den's understanding is that Cobb will convince them to come and help. Of like, okay, I've got their help. And so he leaves. But as soon as he leaves, and I kind of wish maybe Den just looked down when he was flying.
Yeah.
Because as soon as he leaves, he sees Cad Bane. He would have saw Cad Bane walking through the desert. From the desert comes a stranger.
Also, it's like, where did Cad Bane have to park? Why?
I just imagine he's been
walking?
walking this whole time, like the whole planet. He's
just walking the earth like
Yeah.
Caine in Kung Fu.
Yeah.
Okay.
Cad Bane arrives, and then we understand why we got that opening scene of Cobb Vanth being able to draw his blaster really quick on the pikes, and like, okay, he's good. But then you start to realize if you've never met Cad Bane from the Clone Wars or the Bad Batch, you understand Cad Bane is a bad dude right away, right? Because like he can draw on Cobb Vanth even faster.
Yeah, other than Boba. And at this juncture, it's very debatable. I think Cad Bane has the most feared reputation in the galaxy.
Sure.
Sure. And I think even through the Boba Fett, like through this show, I think they've maybe they've nerfed Boba's reputation a little bit.
Sure.
It's not like everybody's...
Nobody's scared of him, it seems like, in this show.
Right. And it's not just like he's not at his full powers anymore or whatever. It's just I think they're trying to retcon that like he was never
a bad guy. Even though Cad Bane was like he killed for the Empire, and Cobb Vanth's like I don't
like it's like so much has happened between now and then. I gotta draw a line of like what I'm gonna care about. And that was too long ago. So
and so they had this conversation. The deputy, Cobb Vanth's deputy, comes out, kind of ruins everything, and allows for Cobb Vanth to be shot by Cad Bane.
Yeah.
And it is not good. Cad Bane kind of eliminates that problem because the Pikes foresaw, hey, Cobb Vanth could get involved because he's already eliminated the Pikes at the beginning of the episode, so we need to take care of that threat.
I think he was supposed to do this regardless. I think everything at the beginning was kind of posturing. I think he was always kind of supposed to take Cobb out. I just said Cobb out with a TH at the end because of
Cobb out. Yeah. Then I felt like this was not necessary because I love Garza Fwip so much, but they blow up the sanctuary. The Pikes just come in with bombs and walk out, and everyone but Max Rebo dies.
It's because that's the only place outside of Jabba's palace that Boba goes in Mos Espa. That's the only characters and location that they had as stakes to use to show like, hey, things are escalating. It's just like that's it. And
you're right.
Which I loved the sanctuary. I love Madame Garza and everything. Jennifer Beals, come on. How are you gonna blow up Jennifer Beals? But
how could you? So that's blown up, and then at the end of the episode, Grogu is given a choice. He pulls out the Mithril Mandalorian armor, and then he pulls out Yoda's lightsaber, which was pretty cool. Like Luke has recovered Yoda's lightsaber. and ignites it and says, okay, you have a choice. Which one do you want to do? And then we're kind of left with Grogu's choice in that episode. And then we move on to the finale, which we're going to run through pretty quickly so we can get to our predictions. Because really, this is just a giant fight.
It's a giant fight. There's kaiju battles. King Kong's happening. It's, it's kind of all over the place.
It's not my... Okay, so like on rewatch... I did not enjoy the finale. I've enjoyed the show quite a bit. Yeah. The finale is just a little too long, a little too much of the same thing over and over. It's like the same beat over and over and over and over and over again. It's essentially an hour-long blaster battle, like I said. So we begin with Grogu. He's flown back by himself in Luke's X-Wing, dropped off at Peli Mottos.
Like, again, it's just all of the emotional stakes we just did in the last episode. Like, I wanted that to lead
Do you
to,
think
like,
Luke was hurt? He was like, just fine, leave.
Get out of here. Like, I can't even go put it on autopilot. I'm not even
Luke could have come. That's his hometown.
Yeah, it's not like he didn't know
he could have
his way
helped.
Around. Like,
also...
That's a
Jedi
thing, like the town was about to be attacked and invaded. So I know he doesn't necessarily know that, but
but if he would have just been a responsible adult and flown with the child, But I guess R2's with him, so it's fine.
R2 is the best bodyguard, babysitter, take your pick.
That's true.
But I don't like it because it makes the way he does come back, it just kind of neuters their emotional payoff of this reunion. It almost makes it gives me the impression that they're really trying to be like, no, they're back together. Forget about anything else. We're moving forward. They're back together. Let's just move on.
Right.
It just again, some kind of scene with Grogu and Din when they first see each other again would have been cool, but like it's happening in the middle of this battle, so
and then Peli loses her tooth immediately when that happens. But no, so then Din and Boba are pretty much trapped by themselves in the ruins of the sanctuary. Where are all the bodies?
Vaporized.
Okay. The Major Domo's also in there. I know people don't like him. He's hilarious to me. I love the Major Domo.
And it was even more funny having on the rewatch, knowing that it's not a huge part of the emotional stakes or anything.
Yeah.
It was more funny just to get to watch him work.
I like the Major Domo.
I love the character. It's fun to have this, he's the biggest coward. He's like a sniveling bureaucrat, but he has this one kind of heroic moment where he's like, my time. I've been waiting my whole life for my skills of negotiation to, and then
there's
Boba
nothing to negotiate.
No.
I like
pulls
that.
the rug out from under him. So yeah, I love that moment. Again, I really like the Rancor doing King Kong. I really liked that.
What did you think of the Scorpionex? The basically they're giant destroyer droids from the prequels.
They
right?
are
like they get the
they're
shields.
Scaled up. They also remind me of the droid that guards the elevator in the Sith base on Terrace in Knights of the Old Republic.
Thank you for that.
Get your bingo card out. But they've got that same kind of shield and everything, and kind of similar. I don't know, but I like them. I think they're really cool. They almost look like something from the Terminator universe to me.
They do. In the future.
In the future, like at the full scale future war stuff. The flash forwards.
With all the laser. Come with me if you want to live. Boba, it's me. Come with me.
Starfighter.
Get to the Starfighter. Get to the Razor Crest.
Oh.
I'm Turbo Man. All right, so Scorpniks are pretty cool. Cad Bane, we have a showdown between Boba and Cad Bane. Okay, I'm gonna do a little bit more Monday morning quarterbacking here, and then we're just gonna move on from this episode because I think the most frustrating part is the way Cad Bane is used, because you had potential to seed him at the very first episode of this.
Yeah.
Because he is Boba's mentor. He taught Boba how to be a bounty hunter. And so I think what I would have done with Cad Bane, and again, this is just me, what I would have done with Cad Bane was he is trying to do the exact same thing Boba is, and they're in competition with one another for control of Tatooine. Cad Bane decides, you know what? I don't want to be a bounty hunter anymore. I don't want to be a hired gun. I want to be in charge. Boba is deciding the same thing. And so it's not the Pikes who he's fighting, it's Cad Bane and his army that he's building. That's a much bigger emotional thing. You could have had flashbacks. You could have had this huge confrontation at this point of the episode of like, this is it. Master versus apprentice. This is it. You know, like, there's so much you could have done with that.
You could, like, I'm also thinking you could have even tied Cad in somehow with the Tusken Raider massacre.
Exactly, he killed them.
Like that may be a little bit of a stretch, but I see what you're saying. Like just having him a part of the story, I think would have enriched it, because there's like the vague concept of antagonists in the series, right?
Yeah,
you have like the twins at times, Chrysanthemum at first. You've got the general idea of the Pikes, the general concept of like the mayor's office and the major domo, but it's not like any of those end up being the big boss at the end. You know, it just kind of all culminates in this. I think having Cad as the face of the enemy in the show would have strengthened a lot. And
I don't know.
I mean, you could even
more
just
Cad
have
Bane
him,
too. I mean, that's cool
for sure. I mean, I love the character and all that. You could have even just had him working for the Pikes earlier. The Pikes brought him in early.
Exactly. Yeah.
Like that could have even been
sure
a simple change. But
I don't know. It would have been more impactful to me of like, oh, like that's the reason Boba's trying to take over, is because he knows if Cad does, it's going to get bad. You know, and so he's an alternative to that. But then, like you said, the Rancor King Kong thing is pretty fun. You get a kaiju battle, and eventually they kill all the bad guys. Finally, their blasters work, and they did it. Grogu calms the Rancor down with the Force, showing his mastery of the Force a little bit.
Seems like maybe he's growing in his abilities, remembering a little more. Yeah.
And they're reunited. Din and Grogu are reunited. And then we end the episode with everyone just smiling and having a good time as the Book of Boba Fett theme plays. And then after the credits, we see Cobb Vanth is tripping really bad in the Bacta tank. And Thundercat is with him because I guess he's going to give him robotic parts.
I don't know. I hope he just does like way more than he needs. I hope I hope Cobb is just having Cobb and Cad in the same episode is really difficult talking wise. But yeah, I think Cobb is just gonna have like a General Grievous situation when he wakes up.
Oh God, he's got all those lightsabers. Okay, so that closes out the Book of Boba Fett for us. I think people want us to get to the Mandalorian and Grogu predictions before the trailer comes out. Again, we're expecting a trailer to come out sometime this next week before the Super Bowl, and then there potentially be a Super Bowl spot. Or they could do a thing where it's like, we're just not going to promote this movie and see if anyone goes to see it. I hope that's not what they do. But
the solo strategy,
the solo strategy. We're gonna use Denny's as our main form of promotion.
Yeah, I wouldn't be mad about that.
Well, there's not even a Denny's here anymore, so like I don't know.
Yeah, I don't have one either. It's got to have. I guess we've got an IHOP. It could be IHOP.
IHOP.
I don't like IHOP that much though.
Cracker Barrel, maybe.
I don't have a Cracker Barrel. I wish I did.
Jack's.
Nope.
I don't know.
Moving
All that
on.
to say, I hope they promote this movie, and we're expecting a trailer this upcoming week. So let's get into our predictions. And I'm going to start with the Galaxy's Edge tie-in, because I think there's a lot of clues when you think about the new ride that is coming to Smuggler's Run, the new version of Smuggler's Run, the same day. There's a reason they're not doing it before,
Right.
because it interacts with the movie. Like, they're doing things that it's almost kind of like this is happening off to the side in the movie as the movie's taking place. So here's the ride description. It's something that can only be done at Disney, bringing avid Star Wars fans closer to the stories they know and love via the innovative magic at Disney parks. This update is only a parsec or two away. Both the upcoming Mandalorian Grogu movie and this update to Millennium Falcon Smuggler's Run will debut on May 22nd, 2026. Here's a quote. Opening an attraction in such a massive movie on the same day wouldn't be possible without the relationships we have inside Disney. Now we've all worked together to come up with a new mission for Smuggler's Run that plays into this narrative. Working alongside the Mandalorian team, the Imagineers captured scenes for the attraction on the movie set.
Multiple. It's plural
Scenes. And you might see some familiar and beloved Star Wars locations aboard the Millennium Falcon. Care for a trip to Cloud City, anyone? So I think that might be an indicator that we're going to these spots potentially in the movie as well. Doesn't mean we will, but I think the door is open. I think it's like a 60% chance we might go to Cloud City in Bespin in The Mandalorian and Grogu. Now, we're definitely probably going to be on Tatooine, because that's another place that you go to in the ride.
Yeah.
The destruction, the destruction of the Death Star is one of them. Over Endor. Go ahead.
So, Jedi Academy, the game,
with Kyle Katarn.
Kyle Katarn, but it's like the last one that came out. Where is it Jedi Outcast or?
Yeah, Jedi Outcast 2.
Okay, whatever the last one was.
Or it might have been Academy. That might have been. I don't know.
It's Academy because it centers around the Academy, I think.
Right.
But a whole plot point is that you're actually traveling to a bunch of different locations from the movies where the Force, because of all these like big convergence events in the Force, there was like special things. I can't remember all the exact details, but like you were going there and the Empire was also trying to race you there to get after something. This almost sounds like that. It almost sounds like Din and Grogu are having to retrace their steps through all these like iconic places where big events happened in the original trilogy.
To me, that makes like a lot of sense narratively, and in terms of like, if you want people to go see this movie, and especially people who maybe felt burnt by the sequels, like they're not ever going to rewrite the sequels or like
Nor
world
should
between world. Yeah, that's silly, and I love the sequels.
Yeah.
But I do think that they're kind of acknowledging, even with the park change in Disneyland, of like, we're going back to the original trilogy. They're acknowledging people want to see that content.
Yeah.
And I could totally see them putting that in this movie of like, the greatest hits. You remember Star Wars? We're back, baby. We're back in theaters. And like to see all those spots again revisited, I think would be a fun time.
Yeah. Now, like, again, I don't know what it means for the movie that, I mean, and I also assume, this means that the Millennium Falcon and probably Han and Chewie are kind of at least going to be tangentially involved.
That's a good, yeah.
Well,
So that's
right?
a pretty good prediction. I like that of like, okay, Han and Chewie might be involved because if the Millennium Falcon, or at least Chewbacca.
Right.
At least
like,
Chewbacca.
And it's not like that means we have to see them in the movie or something like that, but it could be that there's this huge New Republic operation happening at kind of the climactic moment where a bunch of ships are going into battle against something, and the Millennium Falcon could be one of those ships,
Sure.
And then it works for Smuggler's Run that
That's
canonically,
you. That's
it's
yeah,
there.
yeah. You are doing that right now.
Yeah,
That would be fun.
So it could be something like that.
Sure, that would be fun. There's another quote. John and Dave Filoni have shared their story with us, and now we've all worked together to come up with a new mission for Smuggler's Run that plays into this narrative. And again, concept art featured during the panel shows the Razor Crest and the Millennium Falcon heading towards Cloud City, a Tatooine sandcrawler, and Death Star remnants floating in space over Endor. Which is interesting because we were just there in the last movie, The Rise of Skywalker. So that's interesting. Now, we have that information. Let me pivot us towards the tie-in comic that explains. So in case you weren't aware, not only are they doing this ride in Smuggler's Run on May 22nd, they're transitioning half the park back to the original trilogy timeline through Ahsoka. So like it starts from Empire and it runs through Ahsoka. That's why you'll see those characters there. They're changing some of the aesthetic to match more of the original trilogy than the sequel trilogy. And then the part with Rise of the Resistance will be the sequel trilogy area. But there's a tie-in comic that explains what the characters are doing there at the time of the park. So this has potential clues of like, this could be like a little prequel to the movie in a way.
Yeah.
So this is called Echoes of the Empire, which would have been a fantastic title for this movie instead of The Mandalorian Grogu, but whatever. Again,
hindsight.
Who cares? Luke Skywalker, Princess Leia, and Chewbacca, no Han, headed to Batuu in search of important intel and stumble upon a dangerous relic, one that puts them on a collision course with the Empire. Okay. Now, take that information and remember that blurb that came out a few months ago?
About like an artifact or something.
Force artifact?
And trying to beat the Empire to it. And what I just said about these convergence locations from the past past events of the saga.
Yeah. I think and maybe I'm reading too much into this. But I think that relic might have something to do with the movie as well. I could see that being tied into you're trying to it's a MacGuffin, right? Like it's like an Indiana Jones type MacGuffin.
That feeling of like a globe-trotting adventure film is certainly what a lot of the marketing has been evoking. The logo for the movie kind of feels like that to me.
Especially that first poster that we got looked very Indiana Jones.
It did. So, maybe it's going to be kind of more that feel like it's just kind of MacGuffin hunt. And we get to see cool things along the way.
I'm going to put an official prediction out there before hopefully we get an indication of the story via this new trailer that we're supposed to get. Please, God, give us a new trailer that indicates story, something to go off of.
Yeah.
Again, this is before we've seen anything. We're just putting clues together. Maybe we're in the wrong direction, but a Force relic is going to be involved in this movie. I'm making that prediction.
I think that's safe. Even if it's not, even if it's just one thing that plays into part of the movie, that could be true. But I think it could be kind of like we've been talking about the central MacGuffin for the whole thing.
Okay. Do you have any predictions? Yeah, go ahead.
Of just like what kind of thing it would be?
No, just anything.
In any kind of predictions.
Sure.
So I think we will get something of Yoda in the movie. I think we could get Yoda as a Force ghost or at least learn something new of Yoda.
In a connection to Grogu?
In connection to Grogu. I think we may get a tiny piece of lore about their species, even if they're not naming them or something. You and I off mic have talked about some various ideas. It could be as simple as just that it's confirmed that their species comes from Dagobah or something like that. But I actually wouldn't be surprised if we even got Force Ghost Yoda. Especially if, Luke is has anything to do with the events.
That would be cool, dude. That would be cool. Yeah, because like, what if they go back to Dagobah?
Yeah, and
too, and like, what if we learn if they do go back to Dagobah? What if we learn that's where Yoda's species is from and Grogu's species from, and that's why Yoda returned there?
Yeah,
and that's kind of the route that we take.
Yeah. I think it'd be really cool. This is wild speculation, like we do here.
Irresponsible. At
this is
point.
Irresponsible, but I think it'd be really awesome if it was so like we've talked about in the Book of Boba Fett finale and wrap up. Grogu made the choice to not pursue the Jedi Order and he chose the Mandalorian life instead of the Jedi life. I think it'd be cool if there was a separate thing that, like a separate mantle, a separate responsibility that Yoda was fulfilling as the Grand Master of the Jedi Order, but that Grogu is free to fulfill in a different way. Almost like, because I think this is kind of, in my headcanon, they're the Wills.
Yeah, for sure.
You know, and like they're kind of the keepers of the chronicle. Yes. So I think it'd be cool to learn anything like that to where Grogu can still be connected to a greater sense of like destiny and the Force and Yoda without having to pursue the Jedi lifestyle.
That would be cool.
But yeah.
That would be interesting.
Weird speculation.
I like that. No, I like that. Another prediction I'm going to make, Luke Skywalker is going to be in the movie.
Yeah.
I mean, he's Grogu's Jedi teacher, number one. If we're doing a Force relic, Ahsoka's not present anymore, right? She's in a different galaxy right now. Who else is coming?
Okay. Yeah.
I think Luke Skywalker is going to be in the movie. And then, I mean, that's going to get people in the theater. If Luke Skywalker's in the movie, igniting a lightsaber, people are going to be seated. Prediction that Lacey had on just a few weeks ago is that Grogu will talk. I also agree with that.
Yep.
I think Grogu will say something besides Patu. He says Patu before.
Patu. I mean, I think that's just like baby babble.
What if it's actually super important and that's the name of the Force relic and he's trying to been telling? He's been telling us. Maybe he's saying Batu.
Batu. Yeah. Possibly. Yeah, I don't know. But I think that's likely. That seems like a good, like, it could even be the last scene or something. Like he says, I think it could be, there's a large likelihood his first word could be Mando.
Or he looks at Pedro and says, "You're my daddy." And people will be like, yeah.
Sure. This is another kind of weird, irresponsible speculation. I think Hondo could end up in the movie.
Please, that would be awesome.
Because of the Smuggler's Run connection.
That would be awesome.
If he's already there and has some part to play, and we're imagining kind of this underworld-focused, globe-trotting adventure, Hondo's it makes sense. He's the type of character to be there.
That would be so cool.
He's already got the animatronic in Smuggler's Run, so it'd be an easy changeover if he
just bring the animatronic. Yeah, you don't even have to get an actor. Just film that.
Please cast an actor. But yeah, that's a small one.
The voice of Hondo is also the voice of Winnie the Pooh.
Interesting. I can't remember. So which voice of Winnie the Pooh? Because there's been so many.
Whatever the current one is.
Okay.
I forgot his name. I apologize. Also, another prediction. This one's pretty much, I think we hinted at this, but we're going to get more of Grogu's backstory of what happened post Keller and Beck. Yeah. And what we were hinting at was Molly Brazil, who was on chapter 15 of the Believer rewatch with us, and she hinted that Dave had told Brendan Wayne and Lateef Crowder, and they told her this, to watch The Bad Batch. Like, it was really important for them to watch The Bad Batch in relation to the movie. And the only thing that I think that besides, Hunter or someone showing up, I don't think that's going to happen, is Mount Tantus. I think Mount Tantus I think Grogu was there at one point.
I think that's a pretty much unavoidable conclusion we can come to with all of the Imperial testing that had already happened and everything that we didn't get to see, before we actually meet Grogu in the series. I think that's so likely. I think because of that Mount Tantus connection, that actually gives motivation to the Bad Batch if they wanted to, if Hunter wanted to show up and actually help ferry Grogu somewhere. I think that connection has been established.
In a flashback, that would be awesome.
Yeah.
But if we're talking present day, I would love to see an older Omega.
Yes, absolutely. I was thinking flashback from the time of
like Keller and Beck hands him off to Hunter.
Yes,
or something like that. That would be cool.
Or he gets,
Jar Jar.
Something happens to Keller and Beck, and Grogu is captured for a brief moment.
Sure.
The Bad Batch get him back for a little bit before ultimately ending up in again. There's just so much we don't know about.
How did he end up on Arvala 7 in the hands of the underworld? I think that's the major crux of why the underworld and Rhoda the Hutt and stuff are involved in this movie in the first place. Like, why is this an underworld themed movie? Well, it's because I think that's where Grogu was at the very beginning of this. They had possession of him. I think the question is why and what do they know? I think that's the big thing. And then like maybe Jabba knew something. They're assuming Rhoda knows that information too. And maybe Rhoda's playing coy or like he actually doesn't know it. But I think that's why Rhoda the Hutt is involved, is because Jabba knew something about Grogu, had him in possession. That's why he was on Arvala 7 for so long with Niktos and stuff, the underworld. And that's the connection. We'll see. I don't know if that's going to be the case. Again, we'll get an idea of the story when hopefully we get a trailer, and hopefully they actually put like together a story in the trailer instead of it just being random scenes. Like we need to know what this movie is about before we go and see it. That would be nice, right? That would be good.
I'd love that.
Also, there was a lot of reports and rumors that we're going to see another bounty hunter in this movie. Yeah. And I think this is also the case. I think we'll see Embo.
No, it's obviously going to be Zuckuss.
That would be cool too. I'd be fine with that.
Forlom.
I would love to see all of them. Dengar, played by what's his name? You know what I'm talking about? What's his name? British guy. He's in Mission Impossible movies now.
Simon Pegg.
Simon Pegg.
Yep. It's been talked about for a long time.
Any more predictions for you before this trailer comes out? Anything wild? Carson Teva is going to turn and take Grogu capture.
So I think, that's not to make all of these, it's just because we don't know almost anything about plot beats or story or anything like that. It's impossible to speculate on a lot of that stuff. But all that to say, not to bring up just another character I think will be in it. I do think the Armorer will be in the movie. And not only that, I think we'll get the Armorer without her helmet. I think the whole Mandalorian spiritual conflict of like, what does it mean to keep the way and all that we've been talking about for 3 seasons and now a movie. I think it's going to have some kind of conclusion, some kind of wrap up. We're going to have to land on a stance as a story. I think that'll be a way to do it, of being like, we can still keep the old way and stuff, but we're letting go of some of that dogma. Yeah,
That'd be interesting.
Weird prediction, but
I like that. No, I like that. That means Bo-Katan would be in the movie too.
Yeah. Well, she is.
Okay. All right.
But then, we also get the armorer taking her helmet off, and it's revealed that she's been a Zabrak the whole time.
Okay.
And I've been right since day one. So
you would literally stand up and start clapping.
Go,
I am right.
I'd be in jail that night. I think I'd go crazy. I'd be on one.
Oh man, I did want to bring this comment up. It's not really related to the Mandalorian Grogu, but I did find it interesting. This is from Will of the Force, good friend of the podcast. Do you think Smugglers will get an OT themed run for the A New Hope 50th in 2027? Maybe Han and Chewie, now that will be added to the park. That would be cool.
I think if anything happens for the 50th or in 2027, I think if they do any kind of reskin, it's going to be for Starfighter though.
I do too.
I don't think.
But then it's like they're changing back to the sequel trilogy.
But they're not going to change Rise of the Resistance. I don't think there's any way you can change what that ride is. I mean, it's just so intricate. There's so many moving parts. That's the hardest thing to swap out, I think. But I don't know that anymore.
I do think that eventually Rise of the Resistance will become Rise of the Rebellion. Not now. But eventually they're going to reskin that. Yeah.
Yeah, that's fair. Well, we have talked about a whole lot of stuff. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in if you're watching live. But thank you so much for listening if you're listening later or watching the replay and all that.
Quick, who's your Royal Rumble winner pick?
I've honestly been out of it for a couple weeks. I don't. Kit Wilson, why not? Kit Wilson. Kit Wilson. All right.
Okay. Cool.
What about you?
All right.
Who do you got?
Braun.
That's who I actually hope.
Yeah.
He's Georgia boy. I like the dog. But
all right. So
cool. Well, if you thank you so much for tuning in. If you like what we do, leave us a 5-star rating and review on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you listen. You can check us out on Patreon at patreon.com/Mandalorian Watch for just $2 a month. You get access to all kinds of bonus content, a really cool Discord community. We drop stuff early. You get early access sometimes to some things over there. All that. So if you want to help us keep the lights on, check that out. Overall, I hope you all stay warm, be safe out there in the snow. Look around you, make sure there's nobody who isn't in need or anything. And if there is, see what you can do to help them out. Cool. Well, we'll see you again real soon. But until then, keep the watch.